대한민국 문재인 대통령과 미 합중국 도널드 트럼프 대통령이 입장하고 계십니다. 자리에 앉아 주십시오. 참석해 주신 내외 외신 기자 여러분께 감사 말씀드립니다. 외신 기자 여러분, 대한민국에 오신 것을 환영합니다. 한국의 아름다운 가을을 만끽하시기 바랍니다. 대한민국의 성숙한 민주주의와 눈부신 경제 성장도 함께 확인하고 가시면 고맙겠습니다. 지금부터 문재인 대한민국 대통령과 도널드 트럼프 미 합중국 대통령의 공동 기자회견을 시작하겠습니다. 먼저 참석해 주신 내외 외신 기자 여러분께 감사 말씀드립니다. 외신 기자 여러분, 대한민국에 오신 것을 환영합니다. 한국의 아름다운 가을을 만끽하시기 바랍니다. 먼저 문재인 대통령의 성숙한 모두 발언을 듣도록 하겠습니다. 눈부신 경제 성장.
도널드 트럼프 대통령 내외분의 대한민국 방문을 진심으로 환영합니다. 미국 대통령으로 25년 만의 국빈 방문이며 저와 우리 정부가 맞는 첫 국빈이기도 합니다. 저는 트럼프 대통령과의 특별한 인연을 아주 뜻깊고 기쁘게 생각합니다. 그간 트럼프 대통령과 저는 여러 차례의 만남과 소통을 통해 깊은 신뢰와 우위를 맺어왔습니다. 오늘도 한미동맹의 굳건함에 대해 허심탄회한 대화를 나누었습니다. 또한 북핵 문제를 평화적으로 해결하고 한반도의 항구적인 평화 체제를 정착시키기로 했습니다. 갈수록 높아지는 북한의 핵과 미사일 위협에 압도적인 힘의 우위를 바탕으로
to be part of it. President Trump and I met and communicated with each other numerous times, building deep trust and consolidating our friendship. Today, we had candid discussions about the steadfastness of ROK-US alliance. Moreover, we agreed to work towards resolving North Korean nuclear issue in a peaceful manner and bringing permanent peace to the Korean peninsula. Against escalating nuclear and missile threats from North Korea, we reaffirmed our principle that we must maintain strong stance toward North Korean threats. Based on overwhelming superiority of power, President Trump has reaffirmed his ironclad commitment to defend Korea, and President Trump and I agreed to further strengthen the robust combined defensive posture of our two countries. In this regard, President Trump and I agreed to expand rotational deployment of U.S. strategic assets in and around Korean Peninsula. We will step up our collaboration to enhance Korea's self-defense capability to unprecedented levels. To this end, we reached a conclusion today to lift the payload limit on Korean missiles completely. There was a final agreement. We also agreed to begin consultation for Korea's acquisitions and development of Korea's state-of-the-art military reconnaissance assets. Once again, we strongly urge North Korea to halt its nuclear and missile provocation and to come to dialogue table for denuclearization as soon as possible. President Trump and I reaffirmed our current strategy, which is to maximize pressure and sanctions on North Korea until it gives up nuclear weapons and to come to the table for dialogue on its own. At the same time, should North Korea choose to make the right choice, we also reaffirmed our view that we are willing to offer North Korea a bright future.
방법을
Based on such
바탕으로
common approach
북핵
between our
문제의
two
평화적이고
countries, we will
근원적인
continue
해결을
to
위해
lead
계속
efforts to bring
노력해 나갈
peaceful and
것입니다.
fundamental solutions
주변국을
to
포함한
North Korean nuclear issues.
국제사회와도 긴밀히
We will
협력해 나갈
maintain close
것입니다.
collaboration with
트럼프
international
대통령의
community,
이번
including
방안이
the neighboring countries.
한반도
I
상황을
sincerely hope that President
안정적으로
Trump's visit at
관리해 나갈
this
수
time
있는
will be a turning
전환점이
point
되길
for the
기대합니다.
situation on the Korean Peninsula
트럼프
in a stable
대통령과
manner.
저는 오늘
Today,
한미
President Trump
동맹의
and
미래와
I visited
대한민국의 기여를
Pyeongtaek Base, which is
상징적으로
a
보여주는
symbolic venue for
평택
showing the
기지를
future
함께
of ROK-US alliance and also Korea's
공동의
contribution to
목표를
the
향해
alliance.
함께 땀 흘리는
As we
양국
gave our
장병들을
words of
격려하며
encouragement to Korean and
두
American
정상은
service members
한미
who are
동맹의
striving to realize our
뜨거운
common
우정을
goal,
느꼈습니다.
we could feel the strong
대통령과
friendship
저는
of Korea and U.S.
앞으로도
alliance on the site.
합리적 수준의
President Trump and I also agreed to
방위비를
continue strengthening of the combined defense postures and capabilities of the bilateral alliance by pursuing defense cost
마지막으로
sharing at an
우리는
adequate and
한미
reasonable
동맹의
level.
한 축이
Last but not
경제
least, we
협력이라는
reaffirm
것을
that economic cooperation is an
재확인하였습니다.
important pillar
지속
of
가능하고
ROK-US alliance.
미래지향적인
We share the
한미
view that
동맹을
economic cooperation is a
동맹으로
critical element in our
발전시키기
efforts to
위한
pursue
중요한
sustainable
요소라는
and
것에도
future-oriented
인식을 같이
ROK-US alliance.
자유롭고
In order to
공정하며
enjoy the
균형적인
benefit of
무역의
free,
혜택을
equitable,
함께
and
누리기
balanced
위해
trade together,
당국으로 하여금
we agreed to
한미
have the relevant
관련
authorities
협의를
expedite the process of Korea's FTA consultation.
트럼프 대통령과 저는
By sharing the
한미 양국이
universal value
보편적
and
가치와
at the fruits of
경제적
economic
분쟁의
prosperity
가치를
with the
인류와
humankind,
함께
President
나눔으로써
Trump and I
전
agreed to
세계의
make a joint
평화와
contribution
번영에
to the
함께
peace and
기여하기로
prosperity
했습니다.
of the world.
범세계적인
We also agreed to
공동과제인
continue
테러리즘,
strengthening cooperation
여성,
for global
인권,
challenges,
보건
including
등에 대한
issues of
협력도
terrorism,
계속
women, human
강화해
rights,
나가기로
and
했습니다.
public health.
우리 두 정상은
President
수시로
Trump requested
긴밀한
that
소통을
I
계속하면서
need
신뢰와
to
유대를
talk with him
더욱
continuously,
강화하는 한편
and we
국민 간
agreed
우위와
that we
연대를
will
이끌음 삼아
continuously have a
앞으로도
frequent and
한미
close
동맹을
communications.
더욱
And by doing that, we'll
공고히
further
다져나갈
strengthen the
것입니다.
trust and ties between us,
다시 한번
and also
트럼프
solidify
대통령
the
내부의
bilateral alliance.
한국
Once
방문을
again, I extend
magnificent ceremony you have given us during our first trip to the very beautiful city of Seoul. Thank you very much. Melania and I had a wonderful time having tea with you and First Lady Kim. Thank you. At the beautiful Blue House, which I've heard so much about and now get to visit and see firsthand. We're looking forward to joining you for dinner this evening, and we have much to discuss. Today, the President and I had an opportunity to talk about a range of vital economic and security matters, including our trade relationship and our joint efforts to solve North Korea's grave nuclear threat to South Korea and indeed the entire world. This is a worldwide problem. The Republic of Korea is more than a long-standing ally of the United States. We are partners and friends who have fought side by side in a war and really worked very hard and prospered toward a great and lasting peace. I feel confident that we'll be able to reach a free, fair, and reciprocal trade deal as we renegotiate our current 5-year-old trade document. We cannot allow North Korea to threaten all that we have built, and we built it very much together, and we're very, very proud of it also together. But all that we've built in the decades since our soldiers sacrificed side by side in the struggle for freedom, our alliance is more important than ever to peace and security on the Korean Peninsula and across the Indo-Pacific region. That is why Vice President Pence, Secretary of State Tillerson, who's with us today, and Secretary of Defense Mattis, who was here just a short time ago, have all traveled to Seoul in the first year of my administration. It was very important to me that they did. North Korea's sixth test of a nuclear device and its missile launches are a threat not only to the people of South Korea, but to the people all across our globe. We will together confront North Korea's actions and prevent the North Korean dictator from threatening millions of innocent lives. He is indeed threatening millions and millions of lives so needlessly. North Korea is a worldwide threat, that requires worldwide action. We call on every responsible nation, including China and Russia, to demand that the North Korean regime end its nuclear weapons and its missile programs and live in peace. As the South Korean people know so well, it's time to act with urgency and with great determination. All nations must implement UN Security Council regulations and cease trade and business entirely with North Korea. It is unacceptable that nations would help to arm and finance this increasingly dangerous regime. As we work together to resolve this problem using all available tools short of military action, the United States stands prepared to defend itself and its allies using the full range of our unmatched military capabilities if need be. The crucial U.S. security partnership with South Korea is just one aspect of our enduring alliance. We also share deep partnerships on a range of issues, from cultural exchange to cutting-edge advances in science and medicine, and the very important issue of trade. Currently, we are looking at ways of improving our economic relationship. I would like to thank President Moon for instructing his trade negotiators to work closely with us to quickly pursue a much better deal, a deal that frankly has been quite unsuccessful and not very good for the United States. In the more than 6 decades since we signed our mutual defense treaty, our alliance has grown stronger and deeper. Our two nations symbolize what independent countries can accomplish when they serve the interests of their people, respect the sovereignty of their neighbors, and uphold the rule of law. Imagine the amazing possibilities for a Korean peninsula liberated from the threat of nuclear weapons, where all Koreans could enjoy the blessings of liberty and the prosperity that you have achieved right here in South Korea. I also want to congratulate President Moon and the South Korean people on hosting the Winter Olympics this upcoming February. It will be a truly spectacular event. Mr. President, I want to thank you, First Lady Kim, and I mean it was just so special today. The ceremony was so beautiful. We very much thank you for it. Together, our two nations will handle threats to peace and security, stand up to those who would threaten our freedom, and boldly seize the incredible opportunities for a better, brighter, and more prosperous tomorrow. In good times and bad, in moments of great hardship and great success, our two nations can always count on the close bonds and deep friendship we share as free, proud, and independent people. Mr. President, I look forward to the rest of our visit together, and I send the wonderful citizens of South Korea the best wishes from the people of the United States of America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
감사합니다. 트럼프 대통령의 발언이었습니다. 지금부터 기자 여러분의 질문을 받겠습니다. 질의응답은 먼저 백악관의 기자지명과 트럼프 대통령의 답변, 청와대의 기자지명과 문재인 대통령의 답변 순서로 진행하겠습니다. 백악관의 기자지명은 우리 사라 샌더스 우리 합중국 백악관 대변인께서 수고해 주시겠습니다. Sarah, please.
Thank you. The first question from the United States will go to Margaret Brennan from CBS.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President.
Which one?
Mr. President, President Trump. I will have questions for both of you gentlemen, but President Trump, you spoke here in South Korea saying that you do believe that the crisis with North Korea will be worked out. So specifically, have you seen any success in your diplomatic strategy so far, and do you still believe that direct talks are a waste of time?
Well, I think you know me well enough to know that I don't like talking about whether I see success or not in a case such as this. We like to play our cards a little bit close to the vest. I will say this, that I believe it makes sense for North Korea to do the right thing, not only for North Korea, but for humanity all over the world. So there is a lot of reason, a lot of good reason behind it. With that, yes, I think we're making a lot of progress. I think we're showing great strength. I think they understand we have unparalleled strength. There has never been strength like it. You know, we sent 3 of the largest aircraft carriers in the world, and they're right now positioned. We have a nuclear submarine also positioned. We have many things happening that we hope, in fact, I'll go a step further. We hope to God we never have to use. With that being said, I really believe that it makes sense for North Korea to come to the table and to make a deal that's good for the people of North Korea and the people of the world. I do see certain movement, yes, but let's see what happens.
And on direct talk, sir?
I don't want to say that.
Okay.
I just don't want to say that. You can understand that.
I do, sir. And President Moon, you, in your meeting earlier with President Trump, were spoken about by President Trump when he gestured to the military purchases that your country will be making. And I'm wondering, as you look towards that military buildup, if that signals something, perhaps a change in your view, where you believe a more aggressive stance towards North Korea is more appropriate. And President Moon, you, in your meeting earlier with President Trump, were spoken about by President Trump when he gestured to the military purchases that your country will be making. And I'm wondering, as you look towards that military buildup, if that signals something, perhaps a change in your view, where you believe a more aggressive stance towards North Korea is more appropriate.
방금 한 번 더 되풀이해 주시려니까 군사
If I could
자산
have the
획득을
question
말하는
repeated
건가요?
again, are you
아니면 군사적
referring to the
긴장을 말하는
acquisition of the
것인가요?
military assets, or are you referring to the military tensions that could be incurred?
President Trump said you would be
트럼프
making
대통령께서는
military
한국에서
purchases,
군사적인
military
획득을 하실 것이다.
equipment.
군사적인
What does
장비들을
that
구매하실
signal,
것이라고
and is it a
했는데
change?
이것이 어떤 것을 의미하느냐, 이것이 뭔가 변화를
예. 지금 어느 쪽을 질문하신지 잘 모르겠는데
I'm not entirely sure
아까
which
한
direction your
가지는
question was,
우리가
but I can say one thing.
첨단
When it comes
정찰
to the
자산을
state-of-art
비롯한
reconnaissance
미국이 보유하고 있는
assets
군사적
and
전략
the
자산의
strategic
획득에
assets,
대해서
on acquisition of this
한미
U.S.
간에
strategic
협의를
assets,
시작하기로
we have agreed
했다라는
to begin the
말씀을 드린
consultations for
것입니다.
acquisition,
그것은
Korea's acquisition of
우리
such
한국의
assets.
자체
And
방위 능력
that is to enhance Korea's
한미연합
defense
방위
capabilities and also the
향상시키는 데
combined
꼭 필요한
defense
일이라고
posture of
그렇게
Korea and the
생각합니다.
United States. I think it is essential.
예.
Margaret, I may add to that the president and I have agreed they'll be buying which they want and which they need, and everybody thinks it makes a lot of sense. We make the greatest military equipment in the world, whether it's planes, whether it's missiles, no matter what it is. We have the greatest military equipment in the world. And South Korea will be ordering billions of dollars of that equipment, which frankly for them makes a lot of sense. And for us it means jobs. It means reducing our trade deficit with South Korea. But they'll be ordering billions of dollars worth of equipment, and we've already approved some of those orders. Okay? Thank you.
예, 다음은
Yes,
문재인
next,
대통령께
we'd
질문
like to
받겠습니다.
I have the questions raised to President
손
Moon
들어주십시오.
from the Korean reporters. Please raise your hand.
동아일보 문병기.
Yes, Mr. Moon Byung-gi of Donghwa Daily newspaper. Please go ahead.
동아일보 문병기
My name is Moon Byung-gi and
문재인
affiliated Donghwa Daily newspaper. I have a question for President Moon. Between Korea and the United States, I think one of the most important diplomatic challenges is to overcome the resolve the nuclear problem of the DPRK. And you gave it a foreign press interview, and you talked about bringing balance in diplomacy, and you talked about resolving nuclear problem and the close cooperation between Korea and the United States, and you talked about China's role. Are you referring to the balance between the U.S. balance
들어서 트럼프
Korea
대통령과 이번에 세
between
번째
U.S. and China
정상회담을
were
갖게
referring to something
되셨는데요.
else.
트럼프
You have had
대통령과
a
조금 전에
third summit
정상회담에서
meeting. At
한반도의
the
평화
summit
체제의
meeting we
정착을
just
위해
had,
합의를 하셨다고
you said that you have
말씀해
agreed
주셨는데 트럼프
to
대통령과 이
bring
한반도
a
평화
permanent
체제를
peace
위해서
settlement on the Korean
트럼프 대통령과
Peninsula.
미국에게
What
어떤 역할을 구체적으로
kind
기대하고
of role are you
계신지 말씀 좀
expecting the
부탁드리겠습니다.
United States and President Trump to play with regards to
우선
settling peace on the
그
Korean
균형
Peninsula?
외교는
Yes, on the bringing
미국과
balance in our
중국
diplomatic
사이에서
approaches, this
균형
is
외교를 하겠다는 것이
not about our stance vis-à-vis the United States and China. We are trying to bring a solution to the nuclear problem, DPRK nuclear problem, and to bring permanent peace on the Korean Peninsula. And moreover, we would like to promote peace, stability, and prosperity of the Northeast Asian region. So we would like to expand our diplomatic efforts in this regard, and that should include our efforts for China, as well as ASEAN and Russia and the EU. I believe that we should diversify efforts, diplomatic efforts, so that we can pursue a more balanced approach. So that was the intention of making such comments. And to establish permanent peace on the Korean Peninsula and to overcome resolve the nuclear problem, I think there's a role to be played by the United States and China. And when it comes to the United States, a very strong sanctions and pressure is being put by the United States. The U.S. is leading efforts, and I am very sure that substantive results will be realized through such efforts. And China has also faithfully implemented the UN resolution to impose sanctions on DPRK. So we have heightened the pressure and sanctions on DPRK, and I think this will also contribute to resolving the nuclear problem. And if our international society's efforts bear fruits, such efforts bear fruits, and if we can really make a turnaround, then I'm sure that we'll be able to bring North Korea to the table of dialogue. And through such dialogue, I am very confident that we can freeze the nuclear program, ultimately dismantle the weapons program of the DPRK entirely. And in this, I believe that cooperation from the U.S. and China is essential. And on establishing a permanent peace on the Korean Peninsula, I don't think it's the right timing that we talk about this issue. Now we should focus on bringing an end to the DPRK provocations and bringing DPRK to the table for dialogue. This is the impending challenge that we must address now. So we must focus on the sanctions and pressure. And when there is a turnaround, when the turnaround finally comes, then we should certainly make efforts to further consult each other to Korea, the U.S. for settling peace on the Korean Peninsula.
I want to just say that President Xi, where we will be tomorrow, China, has been very helpful. We'll find out how helpful soon, but he really has been very, very helpful. So China is out trying very hard to solve the problem with North Korea. We hope that Russia likewise will be helpful. We also hope that other countries, and we know for a fact that other countries have already started, and we've had great dialogue with many other countries, as you know, and they're really helping a lot. So if we get China, if we get Russia, and we have some other countries, but we want to get most of them, we think that things will happen, and they could happen very quickly. This is a problem, by the way, that should have been done over the last 25 years, not now. This is not the right time to be doing it, but that's what I got. That's what I got. This is a problem that should have been taken care of a long time ago. Thank you.
Thank you. The United States' second and final question will go to Ali Vitali from NBC.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've talked about wanting to put extreme vetting on people trying to come into the United States, but I wonder if you would consider extreme vetting for people trying to buy a gun.
Trying to what?
Buy a gun.
Well, you know, you're bringing up a situation that probably shouldn't be discussed too much right now. We could let a little time go by, but it's okay if you feel that that's an appropriate question, even though we're the heart of South Korea. I will certainly answer your question. If you did what you're suggesting, there would have been no difference 3 days ago, and you might not have had that very brave person who happened to have a gun or a rifle in his truck go out and shoot him and hit him and neutralize him. And I can only say this, if he didn't have a gun, instead of having 26 dead, he would have had hundreds more dead. So that's the way I feel about it.
And are you
Not going to help.
And are you considering any kind of gun control policy going
When you
forward?
look at the city with the strongest gun laws in our nation is Chicago. And Chicago is a disaster. It's a total disaster. Just remember, if this man didn't have a gun or a rifle, you'd be talking about a much worse situation in the great state of Texas. Thank you.
Thank you.
예, 마지막으로 우리 한국 기자분 중에서 OBS 김대희 기자님.
네, 트럼프 대통령에게 질문을
For
하겠습니다.
President Trump.
오늘 트럼프 대통령의
Today,
첫 방문지는 평택
you
컴플렉스
visited
기지인데요.
평택 military
거기는
base
대한민국
as your
정부에선
first
9조
stop,
원이 투입돼
and
막대한 예산이
we
투입된
have
것입니다.
allocated 9
아울러
trillion won
평택이라는
for the
지역
building of the
원주민들과의
military
갈등이
base, and there has
한
been
수년간 걸치면서 아주
a bit of a
힘겹게
conflict,
위치를 한
confrontations
곳인데요.
with the residents of the
그래서
평택
평택
over
미군
the
기지는
construction of
한국인에게
the
있어서는
평택 base.
많은
So to
혈세와
Koreans,
그리고 희생이 따랐던
a lot of
것으로
taxpayers'
기억을 다 하고
money
있습니다.
has been put in
그런데
to
이제
build the
그런 기지에
평택
오늘
base. A lot of
방문하셨을
sacrifices have been made to
때
build
저희
that base.
트럼프 대통령께서
So you visited the
과거에
평택 base
한국
today,
안보 무임
and
승차론에서
many people talked
승차론에
about
대해서
free riding of
얘기하셨는데
Korea against the
그거에 대해서
security
오늘
of
방문을
the
하셨을 때는
United
어떤 점을
States. So what are your
느끼셨는지 그걸 듣고
feelings
싶고요.
about such
그다음에
talks as you
사그라들었다고는 해도
visited the 평택
아직까지
base? And
한국인들은
another question I
코리아
have is
패싱에 대해서
that
아직
people have
마음속에
concerns
많이
about Korea
그
passing,
잔존감이
although
남아
a
있습니다.
lot of
그래서
that has
오늘
gone away.
이
People are
자리에서
still
트럼프
concerned
대통령께서는
that
그
Korea
코리아
may be
패싱이
neglected in
그
diplomacy. So what
한국인에게
are your
있어서
views on
코리아
the Korea
패싱은
passing?
없다라고 그게
Can you
불식됐다고 혹시 얘기하실
say
수
for
있는지
sure, for
궁금합니다.
certain, that Korea passing no longer exists for
Well,
the Korean people?
I'll start off with your second. South Korea, Republic of Korea, Korea is very important to me, and there will be no skipping South Korea. I can tell you that right now. Plus, I've developed great friendships, not only with the president, but with others, and we're not going to let them down, and they're not going to let us down, because we're doing a lot for them, to be honest. We're doing a lot for them. As far as the base is concerned, I thought that Humphreys was an incredible military installation. I know what it cost, and it's a lot of money. We actually spent some of that money, and as you know, that money was spent, for the most part, to protect South Korea, not to protect the United States, but some of that money was spent by us. That being said, that was long before my time, and I'm sure I could have built it for a lot less. That's what I do. Thank you.
예,
예, 그 점을 제가 좀 보충해서
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to make some
말씀드리자면
supplementary remarks.
오늘 그 트럼프 대통령의
Today,
그 평택 기지 그
President Trump
방문은
visited Pyeongtaek military base.
이 한미 동맹에 대해서
And his
한국이
visit
최선을 다해서 많은 기여를 하고
shows
있다라는
through his
것을
visit
다시
we were able
한번
to show that
확인하시는
Korea is
그런
making
좋은
significant
계기가
contribution, huge contributions
되셨을
to
것이라고 생각합니다.
the Korea's
그 점에
alliance.
대해서
I hope
아까
that that has been felt by President Trump, and at the expanded summit talks, he has expressed his appreciation for the construction of the splendid base. And at the Pyeongtaek base, with the 8th Army Commander, as well as the USFK commander, we had a briefing by the commanders, and there was a strong emphasis on that part as well.
예, 이것으로 문재인
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to now conclude the press conference of President Trump and President Jae-In. I would like to extend our appreciation to the members of the diplomatic corps for being here. Thank you.
All right, folks, thank you very much for joining us and choosing us as your stream of choice. If you are new to the community, subscribe and click the notification bell. I had to go back and forth on both of them because of the translation. One of them had Japanese translation and the other one had English translation. So I had to go back and forth on both of them. I hope that you guys still enjoyed. Thank you very much for joining us. Like I said, thank you for the thumbs up and sharing the stream on social media. You guys are amazing. Like I said, if you are new to the community, subscribe, click the notification bell. We stream everything that has to do with the administration, politics, breaking news, and everything else in between. So I hope that you guys join our community. Thank you for joining us at such late time at night. But I hope that you guys have a very good night. And I hope to see you guys here tomorrow for more live streams, more news stories, and stuff like that. So have a good night, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. If we had any moderators on the chat, thank you. If we didn't, then, you know, we try to keep it the best we possibly could. And yeah, so have a good night, everyone. Peace. If you'd like to help out the channel, the link in the description below. We're getting demonetized almost daily now. So any contributions that we can get on PayPal or GoFundMe or Patreon, anything like that helps the channel become bigger. Helps the channel, get more coverage and all that stuff. So thank you very much in advance. If you guys would like to contribute, the links are in the description below. And thank you very much for joining us.